Hello and welcome to the EzysnapServer presentation. I'm Andrew Hennessy, I'm the Technical Director and Founder of Zaptz, and today we're going to be showing you EzysnapServer reporting, how we can easily analyze legacy servers and give you the building blocks and the critical elements of applications to migrate and to modernize those applications onto a modern server, Server 2012, 2016 or Server 2019. So today's presentation is focused on the reporting phase, and we have a separate presentation on the full remediation and migration to that destination platform. So we at Zaptz, we've been specializing in migrating applications for over 15 years now. We've been completely dedicated to the application layer space and migrating applications from originally desktop, doing software virtualization, MSI, software repackaging, delivering large-scale global projects in that space. And more recently, in the last 8 or so years, we've been focused on Citrix server migrations and migrating applications off legacy servers. And that's what I'm going to be showing you today, the reporting element from our EzysnapServer toolkit. So how EzysNap toolkit works, simply with a single click of a button, a single command line, we can automatically extract applications off one system, do the compatibility analysis and reporting, and migrate that onto a target system. The only thing we need is it has to be a Microsoft-based operating system. That's our only limitation. We don't care if it's desktop or server, and today's focus is going to be reporting on the server's migration phase. We also do not care which version you're coming from and what you're moving to. So an older example is moving legacy 2003 application workloads and getting them onto a Server 2012 platform. But this can be absolutely anything. And yes, we are still helping customers out today with legacy Server 2000 server migrations. But where the common project scope will be, it'll be around your Server 2008, Server 2008 R2 fleet, the compatibility analysis of that is the first phase of the project, and the second phase, which we have in a separate presentation, is the full migration and remediation of those applications. We've got use cases for like, a classic example of 2008. If you have adopted the Azure program or the Azure as a targeting environment, you can get extended support by migrating that existing workload into that environment. And of course, we don't recommend to be migrating to 2012. We do recommend to move on to 2016 at a minimum, or preferably Server 2019. Okay, so we like to show our customers this slide just to make them aware of the emerging support end dates of specific system platforms. And as you can see, some of these are fastly emerging. So yes, your focus has got to be on your legacy Server 2003 and 2008 servers you have left, but Server 2012 is a big requirement coming up in the emerging years. You have to be in extended support currently on those Server 2012 platforms, and that support ends in 2023. So it may be worth considering starting to have a look at your Server 2012 fleet as well. Now, how our toolkit works is we separate the application layer from the underlying operating system. We know what the underlying operating system looks like, and you can also define what you want to call your underlying operating system. So yes, it'll be your 2003 or your 2008 build, but we can actually base this on your server SOE. So if you have a server SOE for 2008, for example, we can ignore your SOE applications, which will be antivirus backup agents, inventory, etc. And we only want to extract and report and do compatibility analysis on the applications sitting on top. Or in a Citrix server context, we can define the Citrix platform as part of the underlying operating system. We're not interested in Citrix because that might be migrated as well, so going through an upgrade process rather. We're only interested in analyzing and doing compatibility analysis the application sitting on top of the Citrix platform and your service SOE. Now what that enables you to do is we can lift and shift and analyze all of your applications all at once sitting on that server, and we can move that onto a new server. Physical, virtual, on-prem, in the cloud, hybrid cloud, we're cloud agnostic. We do not care what their target environment is. We can lift and shift those applications, their exact install state, exact configuration, exact version. We can lift and shift that and modernize it. And the importance of reporting is we can find out ahead of time the complexity of that migration, if there's going to be any particular niggles, or where to focus your user acceptance testing, because we've highlighted areas which might be a potential issue. And if there's any niggles or issues, we can provide alternate roadmaps to solve that particular problem. So it's going to be today's focus is on the reporting. But regardless whether you're doing the reporting compatibility analysis or doing a full migration, the capture phase to gather the information is exactly the same whether you're doing full remediation or you're just doing the reporting. Now here is the key advantage of the Ezysnap toolkit. We do not need any information whatsoever from the business. We do not need application installer objects. We don't need the original MSIs and vendor installers and install scripts, patches and hotfixes and service packs and documentation how to install and configure the application for testing. We do not need any of that. And more importantly, we do not need any of that at all for the migration. We automatically extract the application's exact configuration, exact install state. We're analyzing that exact install state, which means it minimizes the amount of misinformation, which you can get through some alternate methods. And we can lift and shift that to your destination server. So let's show you the capture demo. Again, the capture piece is exactly the same if we're just doing the assessment or we're doing a full migration after we've done the assessment piece. So I'll just show you that capture. So I'm just going to jump to a server 2003, 32-bit server. So I'll just jump to there. We'll jump to a 2003 server. So you can see here we've got a legacy server 2003. This equally could be any system. It could be 2000, 2008, 2012, even 2016, 2019, where you can report across your whole fleet. And a lot of our customers, we have analyzed their entire fleet, even on their modern servers. So we know the pain points of if we're doing a full migration, then we know the pain points. We have to investigate that server. We might have a soft inventory of that server. Otherwise, we'd have to interrogate that server to find out what the application's on there. Now, like all servers, you're going to have a mix. You're going to have a mix of business utility applications and business critical applications. And this is one of the business critical applications for this example. We've got XAMPP. You can see we've got some science behind it, Apache and MySQL. And we do know one thing from the business. This is actually a web application. And if we have a look, if the application's happy, and we can see the application working here. Now I'm just going to fire up a couple of other applications. Now you might think this is all shovelware. Yes, it is shovelware for the speed and purpose of this demonstration, but we can lift and shift and report on absolutely any application whatsoever on servers. And we're going to be showing you some example reports based on real-world banking customers as an example. So normally we'd spin up all the applications showing you them all working if we're doing the full migration presentation. But that's not needed for this reporting. And we're trying to condense the time this movie presentation has. So what we need to do is we need to map to our destination server where we have our EzysnapServer toolkit. So I'm just going to quickly do that. I'm going to map it to the Z drive. Be there very shortly. So we've got our Z drive. Now what the Ezysnap toolkit is, all it is a pool of resources that you extract on a network share that your server or servers have access to. There's nothing to install. There's no server client architecture you need to set up. There's no SQL or anything like that at the back end. It's a portable application, it's a utility application. And you can even execute this on an external drive if you wish. Now, To use the toolkit, it is command line driven. It's command line driven deliberately, so you can push this out to a collection of servers. But more importantly, for some people's roadmaps, it even works inside Docker containers. So we can actually push applications inside Docker containers if that's a relevant use case. So to use it for the reporting, again, it's the same capture process whether you're reporting or doing the full migration. You browse to extracted resources, and we kick off a single command, EzysnapServer.exe. And we can look at our options, and we've got various options. Now what we want to do is we want to extract the application layer. And once it's extracted, we can then do our reporting. So let's do that. And the only decision we need to make is where do you want to save the output. So I'm going to save it in the captures folder. Create a folder. I'm going to call it report demo. And you can push, if you push this out to many servers at once, you can just put in computer name %, and it'll create a folder based on that server name. That is it. We've now done absolutely everything we need to do full reporting, full compatibility analysis, full risk and complexity rating assessment, but ultimately the full migration. So how does this work? You kick off the extract app layer command, and the first thing it does, it checks its licensing. It then asks the operating system, what are you? It then asks, are you 32-bit or are you 64-bit? It then marries up to what we call an OS definition file. You can see the path here, and we provide these predefined OS definitions as part of your toolkit. So it's detected this is a 2003 32-bit system. So it's married that up to what we call an EOT file, which stands for Ezysnap Operating System Template. Now you can think of this as a photograph. It is a photograph of what a 2003 legacy system, vanilla system looks like. It brings in that photograph, and you can merge other photographs. You might have a photograph of your server SOE. You've got 2003 server SOE, for example. Or any post hotfixes, which you can see here. We've merged in and appended those other photographs. We've even got a photograph of our destination server. So we're going to server 2019. We can merge that in so we can guarantee there's going to be zero conflicts of migrating these applications to your modern server of choice. Merges those photographs together. It then takes a new photograph and it calls the new photograph after, because it's after applications reinstalled. It then does a comparison between the photographs, the differencing, applies our IP and cleanup, and your cleanup if you've got your own global exclusion lists. And the final task, which you'll complete in a few minutes, is copying those differences to your specified output path. And you can see here it's created a folder based on the server name, this BLDC 2003. So we executed EzysnapServer.exe. This is driven by the configuration that's in the snapshot.ini file. So I'm just going to give you a look at the snapshot.ini file. It's getting a little bit of lag there. There we go. And there's three main sections in the snapshot.ini file. The first section is, if you detect a certain operating system, which photograph or photographs do you wish to use for the exclusion? And you can see how you can specify that here. Now again, you can create your own photographs with this make OS template command, which you can see there. You can simply execute that on your clean server of choice, and it'll make a photograph based on that server image. The next main section is the include section. Where do you want to look for your applications and data if you wish to migrate the data? Yes, we want to grab applications off the C drive, but nearly all servers are going to have additional drives. So for example, the F drive, and we've also got a G drive, And we're only interested in applications and data in the program files directory under G as an example. You can also have some generic exclusions. So here's our exclusion section, and we can put in some custom exclusions here. So let's say it's common in our customer's environment that there's an i386 directory. We're not interested in migrating that. And on the F drive, there's a backup directory, and we don't wish to migrate that. So that's how easy it is to specify what you want to include and exclude at a higher level using the snapshot.ini file. I won't save that, I'll just exit. That's that for perfect timing. Our capture has completed while showing you that snapshot.ini file. So let's have a quick look at the raw output of that capture. And we've got our server here, and this is the raw Ezysnap output. Now we're not going to spend much time in here because this is the purpose of reporting. The reporting will show you about this in a more meaningful way. But we can see on the image info, we'll see the vital information. Which administrator account did the extraction, the version of Ezysnap. Fingerprints. Now we will be spending time on fingerprints as part of this reporting demonstration. A fingerprint is a term that we deem this server can be touched or interacted with by other servers. So it's going to be via its host name, its alias names, and its various IP addresses. So we grab that information, we use that as part of our reporting, and we'll talk about that at length when we get to the generating the reports piece. We can see how large that application layer is going to be. And we can also see the photographs which was used for that extraction. At the raw level, we can see quickly the applications was extracted automatically. Again, we'll talk about this when we present it in our Easy reports. We see our physical files, our drive C, drive F, drive G, etc. And we can see the physical files pertaining to those applications which has been extracted. So we can drill down, see our 7-zip for example, or Adobe. We can see the physical file resources pertaining to those applications. Similarly, we've extracted the relevant registry for those applications, and we can see the registry in its raw format sitting here. Okay, now we've done the extraction, we can now do the reporting piece. So let's jump onto that. I'm keeping this demonstration nice and short, so we're just going to jump straight into the reporting, not that capture. All right, so here we've got a more modern server. We've got our EzysnapServer toolkit, and part of your toolkit is we provide you EasyReport. So we execute EasyReport. Now EasyReport just requires .NET Framework version 4 or above, so normally you'd be executing this on a workstation or on a development server. You can use it on a production server if you wish, but obviously we recommend just execute this on something different. Now again, there's no back-end requirements. There's no software or client agents needed on a production server. There was no change control needed whatsoever on our production servers, which we did our extraction, and same for implementing. So EasyReport is self-sufficient. There's no architecture needed to implement this. Again, it's a utility application. Now with EasyReport, you can create a new database, which you will need to do if it's the first time you used EasyReport, or you can open up your own database. And again, it's got its own database format. You don't need SQL or there's 0 dependencies, except for the .NET Framework version 4. Just going to open up an existing one where I've got some examples. And we're presented with where we can do some generic reports, and you've got the ability to create your own custom reports and your own custom rule sets in addition to what we provide by default. But before we generate reports, we need to let the system know what we wish to report on, and we need to import in the images that we wish to report on. So it's going to import in our images that from our extractions, so we can see what was in our existing database. So we can now browse, or we can drag and drop. So just going to drag and drop. I'm going to bring in this example. And I'm just going to jump to our where we did our extraction. Drag them in. And you can see that these are in the queue. So we've got our extracted metadata and information from our server capture, and we've now got them in the queue. I'm now going to import them into an SQL queryable database. So this means that we can query and report on absolutely any information that you wish, because we are looking inside the registry and all the configuration files in the file system pertaining to those applications. So again, we can report on absolutely any information that you desire. So now that's imported in, the first thing we need to do is we need to analyze that image for any compatibility issues, any migration issues, any legacy.NET framework or system driver issues. We can see these two servers are currently pending because they haven't been analyzed yet. And we're going to cast our rule sets across that. So we're going to, and we'll have a look at that technical detail report shortly. So again, it's looking for any potential migration modernization issues. Looks for .NET Framework version 1.1, which is not supported on 2012 and above. Let's look for 32-bit to 64-bit compliance, and that's now complete. All right, so now that's complete, we can now generate our reports. So I'm just going to create a reporting folder. And we've got two main reports. So we've got layer image details. So I'd like to call this the building blocks report because it shows you the critical elements that your applications need to work successfully in your target environment. And here's a layer assessment. This is a technical deep dive. It gives you the exact DLL, exact registry key, which is giving you compatibility or a migration issue, and what the remediation path for that particular error is. So let's just kick off the main report. You select your service you wish to report on. Where do you want to save it? And in seconds, we've generated our reports. Suddenly on the technical detail, on the compatibility analysis and migration, select your service, and we've got those reports. So let's have a quick look. Let's go and look at this example first. We're going to look at the building blocks report. And you can see here's the default report layout. Now again, this is completely configurable. You can brand it and skin it. You can present any information that you wish. These are the default SQL queries, but you can create your own SQL queries to show you additional information. So give you the generic, what was the server, what was its architecture, how large the application layer was, and if there was a red, amber, green status, what that red, amber, green status is. And we can see this example, we've got one amber issue. We've got, this is a simple server. We only had the C drive, and we only had these 7 shovelware applications for the speed of this presentation. Again, I wish to reiterate, we can migrate, lift and shift any application, report on absolutely anything. So we can see these applications here. We'll give you extra information. It's a 32-bit installer, 64-bit installer, or hopefully not, a 16-bit installer. So per machine, a per user installation. Was the original vendor installer object was an MSI, or was it a legacy other installer object? We can see the dependencies. So your target server or your Docker container, if you're moving to Docker, will need these components available to it for that to work. So specific .NET frameworks and C++ runtimes will need to be prepped on your destination server. Was it a web server example? Now, missing items. XAMPP was that web application, and I deliberately left that running, emulating a live production server. We did our extraction without an outage. We did not shut down any services. We didn't schedule an outage, didn't do a reboot or anything like that. We didn't have to open up any ports. We can just do the extraction on a live production system. Now, if something is locked at the time, or you don't have the right permissions to that resource, it'll document that here in missing items. Now, if you deem you need that for your migration and for your cutover, you can then schedule your outage, and we've got a command to grab these exact resources, minimizing your outage time. Now here we found an amber migration issue. we can have a look at the technical detail on this. This is the result of casting our analysis eye and our rule sets. And we said, hang on a minute, we found 32-bit kernel mode drivers in your image. These will not work on a 64-bit system. You need to either remove this kernel mode driver, or if it's application related and not system related or operating or platform related, you will need to find a 64-bit version of that driver. Yes, we can pick up, lift and shift. Everything you see reporting on here, we can automatically migrate. So we can see the services is migrated. Here's the kernel mode driver. We can see here's the virtual machine network driver. Of course, we do not need to migrate that, so we can remove that from the image. We deliberately left that in for this demonstration to show you how that works. Okay, so let's jump to a real customer report. So here's a banking customer. It was a web server, and it was more complexity to it. It was CD and F drive, and there was 40 gig of application and web application data and applications that wish to be migrated. We can see the 28 real-world applications that was lifted and shifted, and as you can see, it was a web server as well. See the dependencies, missing items. Our services, so we can lift and shift the services and the kernel mode services. But we also highlight app services with a custom logon. So your destination server has to have access to this domain account or Active Directory account, or if it's a local account or a local group, that has to be created on your target system in order for that service to work. Now here's where we're going to spend a little bit of time, because this is where some of the real power of our reporting comes into place. We can find any hard-coded reference to any other server whatsoever, or any other network resource. So for example here, this is in the file system or in the registry system. So here we've done an extraction on our web server IS01. We found external servers referencing this server we've done our extraction. So Zaptz02 had these registry and keys and file system, and SQL had references to our server we extracted. Yes, we've put in some bogus information to protect the customer's information in here. Also, our server that we did our extraction from has hard-coded references to external systems. So this is Zap05 and these two other web servers, 04 and 06. So how does this work? When we capture a server, we grab what we call fingerprints. Now, when we import that into EasyReport, it grabs those fingerprints and it puts it into what we call a integration point list. So those fingerprints is put into this column here under fingerprints. So you can think of this fingerprint column as a search column. It's going to search anything in this fingerprint column in our captured server's registry or file system, and we can guarantee to find any of those hard-coded references. Now that's all well and good for servers you've done a full capture on with Ezysnap, but there's going to be a lot of servers in your environment, or majority of servers in your environment, you're not going to be using Ezysnap captures on. So for those circumstances, we can, with your customer's permission, we can take an export of their DNS of their server collections. We massage that information and put this into the integration point list, and then we can guarantee to find any hard-coded reference to any server that you have in your environment. And this banking customer, we import in 15,000 of their servers, and we can find any hard-coded reference at any time using this, using our EasyReport. Very, very powerful. Similarly, we can find hard-coded references to ourselves, our own server name and our IP address, and we document that here in the report. And as part of the remediation process, which is in a separate demonstration, we show you how easy it is to search and replace and change that for your new destination server name and your new destination IP address. We can see the ODBC drivers. We can lift and shift those. We can see the databases and the servers. Server shares, we can lift and shift those. We can even lift and shift NTFS permissions if you wish. Environment variables and COM+. and scheduled tasks, which we can all report on, and more importantly, we can migrate. Okay, so that's the summary, very quick presentation of the reporting, extraction, how easy it is to do the reporting of these servers. Lastly, I'll just show you the layer assessment and some of the rule sets. It's not a very good example because we only had one issue, but you can see this is an older template. We've got 2019 rule sets as well. You can see the issues that we can pick up. So whether it's particularly .NET related issues, and particularly older web servers, they've got a lot of legacy .NET 1.1, and we've got resolution paths to remap that to .NET version 2. Okay, thanks for this very quick demonstration on the reporting. We can combine all of this information and provide this as a central Excel spreadsheet with complexity and risk ratings across your whole server fleet. And we can give you the pie charts and everything that you need on your red, amber, green RAG status. That's very easy, but we can show you that in a separate presentation if you want us to go into depth. Thanks for your time. I really appreciate it, and we look forward to helping you out with your assessment and reporting requirements. Thank you.